The Sound.
The sound of Cambridgeshire.
Breakfast with Dotty Mcleod.
BBC Radio Cambridgeshire.
The furlough scheme comes to an end today. It's the final day after 18 months of it being in process. This was the moment on the 20th of March last year when Chancellor Rishi Sunak announced the government's plan for helping businesses through the pandemic.
Today, I can announce that for the first time in our history, the government is going to step in and help to pay people's wages. We're setting up a new coronavirus job retention scheme. Any employer in the country, small or large, charitable or non-profit, will be eligible for the scheme.
It really was a first-time-in-history moment. The government says more than 11.5 million jobs have been supported since the scheme began, at a cost of £70 billion. Polly Leep is from Leep Accountants in Peterborough. Morning, Polly.
Morning, Dotty.
Do you remember that announcement from the Chancellor and hearing it, and what went through your head as you realised what this might mean for businesses like yours?
Oh, I definitely remember the day. And what went through my head, I can't really say on radio, but it was just trying to work out the ins and outs and how that might work for all of our clients, because we're a local accountancy firm, so we look after a lot of employers, and a lot of them turn to accountants, their accountant, for advice and guidance. So it was really trying to digest the information, interpret it, and then explain what that means to each of our employer clients.
Try and express for me the impact that the scheme has had.
Well, I would say that in the beginning, it was a bit of a blunt tool to quickly roll out and try and sort of stem the hundreds of people that were going to be made redundant as a result of lockdown. And then over time, over the months, it's been refined. And I would say that it's now become a lot more refined. We're seeing a lot fewer people using it in the latter months. And obviously, it's going to be phased out today, with the last date of application being the 14th of October. So I would say that it's worked fairly well to keep redundancies to a minimum. And you're never going to please everyone. There's always going to be casualties, but it's done its job.
What do you think would have happened if some kind of scheme like this hadn't been put into practice? What would we be looking at?
We would definitely have seen a massive snowball of redundancies in the first lockdown, and then the second lockdown, and you'd seen hundreds, thousands of people rushing to try and claim universal credits because they're now jobless. And you may even see very sort of hungry children or people unable to pay their mortgages, that kind of thing. So, I definitely think it's benefited massively the employee population.
In terms of who's still on furlough, because the government estimates around 1 million people still are, do you still have clients that are using the furlough scheme? What kind of industries are they in?
So although lockdown has lifted and public confidence about meeting people is returning, there are some industries that are still very slow to return. So I've got clients who manage events, networking events, and they've kind of moved online, but some are finding it not quite as popular having a Zoom kind of networking event or kind of meeting rather than a face-to-face. We've got PTs and gyms where the trickle of people coming back to gyms is not as buoyant as it used to be. And then we've got food delivery people who maybe deliver to offices, and these offices aren't quite as full as they are. A lot of people are working from home, so the demand isn't as high as it used to be. So they're the people that are still on furlough.
Were you ever on furlough, Polly? Have you experienced this yourself?
No, fortunately, people still need their accountants to give them the guidance, whether that's what grants and what financial assistance is available from the government. And then we've still been active throughout to try and help direct and signpost our clients through this pandemic.
And just another financial economic story, which is in the news today, Polly. We've got VAT changes coming in as well on Friday, rising, I believe, from 5% to 12.5%. How significant will that be for your clients?
So this VAT 5% was always going to be a temporary measure in order to help the food and hospitality and tourism industry. So it was always in the pipeline. The VAT on those items was reduced from 20 down to 5%, and it's going to increase to 12.5% from the 1st of October until the 31st of March 2022. And then it's going to revert back to the 20%. I don't think it's going to be a massive implication or a massive impact, but we shall see. We shall see.
Polly, really good to talk to you. Thanks for your time. Polly Lee there from Leep Accountants in Peterborough.
Leep Accountants. Call 01733 699033.